Aha, here we are.
Microphone's right there.
Microphone's right there. Bye bye, Mike. Red book is there. So welcome back. It's me, Steph, here with the lovely Maia and Hedwig. And so I am 1 month into my ketogenic diet experience, which has been an adventure. So we were sat here just like this 1 month ago. I was feeling really brain foggy, achy, and generally quite menopausey at the time, premenstrual too. And I'm at that same place. I'm pre my menstruation this month, so we've gone a full circle. So Maia's popped over to check in with how I'm getting on. So shall I just share?
Yeah, you start. And what you were just beginning with was things you feel like you've lost.
Ah, yeah, that's a good one.
And other than the obvious, which is her waist.
The unicorn curves.
What other things?
Yeah, so now I do feel lighter. I feel what else have I lost? The brain fog has very much lifted. So I feel clearer in my head. And that was one of the first things I felt. Instantly I felt my brain was clearer. But there were other symptoms as well that's not all good. But
what not good?
Well, I felt very low in energy at first.
Yeah.
So I'll go through it. I've got my okay. So day 1 to 7, day 3 fatigue, clear-headed. I've put, and I had my menstruation was fine. No real symptoms of that. I figured that was a good sign. But I felt tired. I felt really tired. Day 6, 7, and 8, I wasn't well. So I had cramps, nausea, but went very quickly when I passed, my morning stool. I felt much better. So I got like the cramp thing, nausea. And that was just for 3 or 4 days.
So if I just cut in with what everyone expects for the first week. So essentially it takes up to 3 days to go into ketosis. So you are using up your stored glucose stores, and then as they deplete, your body starts going into ketosis. And depending on you, it's at the longest, it's the end of day 3.
Yes.
So that first 3 days is a depletion in energy levels. People can get quite grumpy, quite hangry. Their body will have a propelling to get them to food, so they'll be like really hungry.
Yes.
And moody and all that.
Yes.
When you go into ketosis, your body changes its behaviour. So it understands that by you being in a bad mood and hungry, you're still not getting food. So it goes, well, it's not working really. So it starts going, okay, we've got all these fat stores. Start dipping into the fat stores. Then what it wants you to do is hunt. So because it wants you to hunt, it makes your clarity of mind sharper, and it makes your eyesight improve, hearing improve, and sense of smell improve.
Oh, interesting.
So quite often after that 3rd day into the next week, people will report feeling very clear-headed, and also sense of smell gets very acute. Hunger goes away. Usually by the end of the 3rd day into the 4th day, you're much less actually hungry.
Yeah.
Because you start accessing your fat stores.
Yeah.
So you are literally eating yourself. So what you're looking for outside is no longer so important. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
So what else?
So that totally tallies. And also day 11 and 12, I got again nausea, slight cramps.
Oh yes. So with nausea, this is if you're doing it as well, so that you understand. It's really common. So nausea, constipation, fatigue, depression. Often that's just salt deficiency. And if you take the salt, those things go away. And you'll know within 10 minutes of having the salt, because you'll feel better. and you'll have more energy, cramps will go away. So when you go into ketosis, your insulin levels come down, your ketone levels go up, and you start peeing your electrolytes. So a lot of the initial weight in the first month is water weight. If you ate a load of carbs now, half of whatever you'd lost would come back within a few days. It's just the initial process. Insulin makes you hold salt, it holds electrolytes, holds water. So once you've dropped your your insulin, your ketones up, you pee a lot of your electrolytes out, so which you have to supplement.
So does one have to continue supplementing?
Yeah, depends on the person and their needs. So you can need between 1 and 3 teaspoons of salt a day. Himalayan salt will have other minerals in as well. For me, I have Epsom salt foot baths for magnesium, and then for potassium you want lots of avocados, mushrooms, spinach, things like that. And then obviously other foods are really good as well, but those are very good, especially if you're veggie. Those are very good potassium rich foods.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that definitely happened for me. I got cramps in the night, and I couldn't quite believe how much I've had to add salt, but I have. So I drink this San Pellegrino because it's full of minerals, and I like fizzy water with salt in. So that helped me to, and I also put mineral drops in, and I use something called Shilajit, which I don't know if you've heard of. So there's an Ayurvedic mineral-rich remedy. So since I've been using that, it's kept it at bay, but I've been surprised at how much I've had to supplement this salt and these minerals and the Shilajit. And drinking water, I really wanted to drink a lot. It felt like I was like guzzling water, and I still feel I should do more, actually.
So with the water, you'll also be flushing more electrolytes out. So for me, I don't have much salt extra, and I don't really have much water. I don't particularly like water, so I put salt under my tongue.
Yes.
My mum needs to carry salt with her wherever she goes because she needs it much more.
Right.
So I think it's a very variable thing, like everything, to who you are, where you're at.
It's interesting, isn't it? That something I'll look into more, the salt thing.
Also, the more ketones are initially wasted. So you're peeing them out, which is why they're shown the pee sticks, and you breathe them out.
Yes.
And the ketone specifically is acetone, and it's quite drying. So you can get a really dry tongue. You can smell disgusting. You can have disgusting like keto breath.
I've noticed that.
It's quite rank. This social distancing is superb.
It's great.
I
On so many levels,
I had to do a Tai Chi day course in like the flood of it, and I was like, oh my god, I'm evil. But anyway,
thank God nobody can come near me, kind of thing. Yeah.
It's This was way before social distancing, unfortunately.
Oh, right.
No, so this is acetone, and again, also your armpits can get really quite stingy. Your whole it's very it's interesting, but it's the ketone is literally little bits of fat. So you're breathing out tiny bits of fat and you're peeing out tiny bits of fat. And once you're keto adapted and you've been doing this a while, you can be in ketosis, but if you go on the pee sticks, it won't show it.
Oh, very interesting.
You're no longer wasting them.
Yes, I'm doing the pee stick thing, and I can see. Yeah, I mean, I haven't felt the breath actually, except when I'm deep in a yoga breath, then I'll get a taste. It's a different taste, but I don't think I've got an overtly smelly breath. Nobody's pointed out.
If you do.
Yeah, but I do get a sense of a taste of something that I recognise as being unusual. I've always had quite a high sense of smell as well. So yeah, the cramps in the night, the mineral thing is something I'm taking a lot of care of. It's something I'm quite interested in anyway, so I shall look more into that. So by day 20, I noted that my energy levels were going up. Yeah. So today I'm on day, I've even stopped counting. I think it's probably 20, well, it's my cycle, so it's 28. I've finally got my energy back. Finally.
I think this is normal, and like I'm writing this little sort of beginner's book, and I've got a whole bit dedicated to week 3, because from what I can gather, everybody in week 3, it's like you have enough ketones now in your blood that they start going into your brain, and also your muscles are beginning to work out how to use ketones as fuel. So initially, also different bits of your body tissue will be more insulin resistant. So nothing works as, we're not linear, which is not linear, so everything is always, there's an evolution of ketosis which deepens, and there are adaptations which continue. So as
different cycles and different.
I think I said somebody said that they've found adaptations up to 20 months, and for sure, me and my mum had a whole new set of stuff happen at about a year and 2 months.
Yes.
Where we started feeling more lean muscle. It was really quite bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I can get that.
Quite exciting.
Because it feels like, I'm sort of feel like I'm metabolically changing because of the menopause. And I think this is, and it feels similar in a way, like there's a bit of a reset happening in my body and a whole lot of adaptation. So I'm detoxing for sure. Which is interesting because I don't feel like the food I'm eating is necessarily what you call detox food. But obviously I am, because it's a completely different method of eating, isn't it?
You've removed the cause of inflammation. So it's not that maybe you're adding something that detoxes, it's you're removing the thing that's causing the imbalance. Yeah. And that allows your body to start righting itself.
Yeah. And it's interesting, what I've found is, on a physical level, and the aches have gone. My knees didn't like going up the 3 flights of stairs to get to my bedroom. My knees don't mind that quite so much. They were grumbling a bit on the 3rd flight, now it's...
By 8 weeks, that'll have gone probably completely.
Yeah,
there's definitely an 8-week, and then there's a 12-week. There seem to be little points where people go, oh, actually, that really has changed. I left sometimes I would listen to podcasts at night, I'm terrible, and I leave them running, going to the next one, so I'll wake in the middle of the night and my podcasts are running. I do love my podcasts. And there was one, funnily enough, I woke in the middle of the night and he was talking about the keto diet, and he said that he took honey occasionally. That was his thing, and I just went back to sleep, and actually I felt that it sort of gave me the impetus to maybe take a bit of sweetness. So what I'm doing in the morning now is I've made an elderberry syrup with honey just for immunity, which is amazing anyway, and I'm always happy to share the recipe on that one, very easy. So I take a little bit of honey, it's a tiny bit of honey, warm water, elderberry, it's got ginger, turmeric. I add my mineral drops, shilajit, this Ayurvedic mineral preparation, natural herbal remedy thing, and salt. And I just make a little shot, and I have that, and it feels like that's good. So maybe it was just destined to hear the honey thing, I don't know. And I brought in because I came quite hard down on myself. I went below 20 grams of carbs each day. And then somebody gave me a fig, I ate a fig, but just a fig. I didn't eat a whole box of figs. I had a fig, and I don't know. So that's what I'm dancing with at the moment. A little bit of fruit sometimes. Like before, I tipped like a whole pallet of blueberries into my smoothie. These are keto? No, they're not. You can have a handful, sure. So it's about sort of, in a way, what I'm trying to illustrate is emotionally how I eat. So I eat sweet things for emotional sustenance, as most of us do, and it's really made me see that. And so now I still have those habits. I remember you telling me about the cream that you have in the cafe, sometimes you have a little pot of sweetened cream. I'm doing that sort of thing, and it feels like I'm gently satisfying that side of myself that needs that mother's milk, sweet, taking a little bit of a treat, you know what I mean? But it's really highlighted to me how I'm driven to eat sweet foods, to be kind to myself in a way, to give myself a treat. And so emotionally, I've been feeling quite
tender really, and quite present with my emotion, not stuffing it down with a bar of chocolate, which I had got into the habit of doing every night. Really good eating during the day, doing all my right, and it would be like, oh, the day's done. Now I can read my book and eat a bar of chocolate. And now I'm not doing, now I've got keto truffles.
Good.
Lovely keto truffles.
It's worth paying attention to if that little thing becomes 2 little things, 3 little things, and actually then you're really out of the process, because it's called carb creep. Everyone talks about it.
Yes.
Everyone has a justification for it.
Yes.
If you're pretty healthy, fine. If you're trying to reverse diabetes or pre-diabetes,
watch
not
for the
fine.
carb creep.
Having honey, if you're diabetic, it's pointless compared to sorting out the diabetes.
Right.
And if you can do all that without the honey, why wouldn't you do all that without the honey?
Right.
So it just depends where a person's at, what they want from the experience.
Yeah.
How, looking at addiction, looking at self-soothing, you know, these are big subjects.
They're big things.
And you're not coming from an obese place.
I'm
not
very
coming
well,
from a
really.
sick place, but you are preventing future stuff, and you are hopefully reversing some things that were going in the wrong direction. And any middle weight shows that the liver is beginning to be burdened by most likely carbohydrate induced imbalance.
And that has, as
and
you
that's
said,
gone super quickly.
Yeah.
And that's, the body's very clever, and as soon as you drop the carbs, it starts eating visceral fat first. The subcutaneous fat doesn't look so nice, but it's not dangerous. But visceral fat is dangerous, and the body.
So what's the difference between those two fats?
They're different fats. So visceral fat is literally around the viscera. It's around the organ structure. So you can have someone who's very thin. They're called toffees, thin on the outside, fat on the inside. So one of the reasons why Michael Mosley has done what Michael Mosley's done is because he's a slender man who found out he was diabetic or pre-diabetic. I can't remember. So you can have someone
Who's Michael Mosley?
Oh, he's been doing loads of stuff on BBC about people reversing their diabetes. Very mainstream, with a slant, rather than this seems more out there because it's a little bit more strong.
So he's not doing the keto thing?
He's doing low carb but through low calorie. Sorry, not low carb, he's doing low calorie.
Low calorie,
But low calorie doesn't have a good long-term sustainability because people's hunger comes back so much. Whereas usually with low carb, you're satiated, you feel full. The foods you're eating are making you not hungry. So you don't have to rebound. The emotional rebound is a different thing. Your physical body is usually very happy. So
so I was definitely coming at it from somebody who is healthy. You know, I teach and practice yoga. You know, I don't smoke or any of those things, but I was getting menopause symptoms, and I have to say my clear head is a delight.
They may not have been menopausal symptoms. They may have been 10 to 20 years building up an insulin resistance until it starts manifesting and you can feel it. And you get the cloudiness from it.
So the menopause sort of kick-starts it because things are changing in terms of hormones.
If you were a man, you would still have the same things happening. Because you would have had 10 to 20 years of this insulin resistance being created. So if you were a man, you would have fuzzy head, weight round the middle, aching joints, feeling fatigued, maybe lack of vitality. Maybe
you'd go out and buy a sports car.
Maybe you'd go out and buy a sports car. Maybe, but you'd be feeling old. And what this does is it reverses you feeling old for the things that you're creating through how you eat. You feel younger.
I do. For sure I do. I do. And so that's interesting about the menopause thing. Although I think, the shift in hormones is a similar metabolic shift for women, isn't it? Because different functions are being taken different functions are being taken over by different glands. There's also a link with adrenals and sugar, isn't there? Which I think must play a part. So it's all connected, as you say, and it's all highly complex, and the body really is Amazing. So I am going to continue.
I would challenge you again this time.
Okay.
To
she's going to make me not have the honey, isn't
no,
she?
she's not. No, she's not. She's going to notice if it's escalating to other things.
Okay.
Because that permissive...
Yeah, I get it.
It's called carb creep for a reason.
Yes.
And when your aches start coming back, I'd say rein it back in again, go back to chronometer, go back to going under 20 grams a day. Because it would be better if you were under 20 grams a day and then occasionally you go up to 50. You'll feel like you've had the biggest cheat day ever, but you'll still be low carb.
Yeah.
But once it starts creeping in, you'll find, you know, and honey is just sugar.
Yeah.
And not only is honey just sugar, it's also fructose. So it impacts the liver really more than glucose will get used by your whole body.
Okay.
So your liver's only one organ, it's like 1.5 kilos or whatever. The fructose goes only to the liver. So a lot of the inflammatory, but a lot of the inflammatory things that come back are because someone has gone, oh, I ate a mango, or for me personally, I can sometimes eat a bit of sourdough bread with butter and Marmite, and I can sometimes eat some potato, and I don't get any kickback from that. But if I eat fruit, and I've always done juicing and ate so much fruit, and I love fruit, and I love the idea that it's healthy for us. I love the idea. The reality is I'll get aches everywhere, and it'll take a day and a half for me to feel okay again.
Gosh.
So it's I can have a few berries, I can have berries with cream. Definitely what you mix things with is interesting. If you put fat sauce with it, maybe it slows it a little bit. On the blood glucose monitor though, did it slow it or did it keep my reaction going on for a lot longer?
Yeah.
It was a very strange thing. Instead of a quick spike up and back down within 2 hours, it went up and it went along for ages high for about 3 or 4 hours. And I can't remember what it was that I ate, but it was noticeably an extended response.
Yes, interesting.
So yeah, I would because you're only in the first month. Yeah. I'd rein it in again for another month.
Okay, I'm happy to do that.
And keep the benefits going. And if you do it once, but don't do it every day, so it's a habit.
Yeah.
You know, like the daily thing, because maybe before your period that little bit of honey's perfect.
Yes.
They don't do so many studies with women, like in general in the medical world, in everything. We're not very included.
No, we're not.
So for me personally, I always have an apple. Just before my period, I really crave an apple. I'll bung it in my salad with loads of feta and mozzarella and everything. It's wonderful. I don't crave it the rest of the month, so I figure my body has a perfectly clear understanding it wants an apple at that point.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
But not the habit. It's the habit, because once it's a norm, and you're like having your honey every day, and then you're like, well, now a fig is a treat.
Yes.
You know, or a piece of bread's a treat, and then you're like, well, you know, that was I felt okay then. And then you're like, and then you go out and you see friends or something, or I don't know, these days and age we don't go out and see friends, but if you do, you know, they give you something else. And then suddenly you find out that 4 days out of the week, you haven't really been doing any of it.
What's the deal with drinking, talking about going out to see friends? Not that I particularly drink.
So again, my opinion is at the beginning, because your liver is learning how to make ketones and use ketones. Your body's learning how to use ketones and your liver is making ketones. It's a whole new metabolic process that you've instigated. Except when you were born. You were born in ketosis. Every baby is keto.
And then we get plugged into the breast, which is sweet as anything.
Breast milk is ketogenic.
Oh.
Very high fat content.
Ah.
Very high fat content.
Very sweet.
Very sweet, but it's
ketogenic.
It's ketogenic.
Wow.
So as babies, and this is why if you maybe, really just my opinion, if you have a baby and you can't breastfeed, it might be worthwhile getting maybe some MCT oil into the formula so that it keeps, because ketones are so good for our brain development. It's like epic for our brain development. And in nature we would be in ketosis as long as we're breastfed. So I don't know what that normally would be, but you know, there's a reason we're in ketosis when we're born, and there's a reason, and there are reasons why we're the breast milk is ketogenic.
Very interesting, yeah. The MCT oil is something I used to give to my daughter who had, she couldn't absorb fats very easily, so I'd give her MCT. Now you can buy it everywhere, but it was quite hard to find in those days, 20 odd years ago. I've just bought some of that actually. I did make the mistake of putting it in my coffee. I don't think I'll be doing that again.
Only a little to begin with, like a little teaspoon. That's all you need.
It was just the globules of fat on the top of the coffee. I just thought I can't cope with that. It's the Italian in me. Can't.
You can whisk it in. In fact, you put it in a blender. If you zhuzh up coffee, MCT oil, ghee, or cream and ghee, or something, you some kind of fat and your coffee and you zhuzh it, it's like the frothiest, delicious cappuccino. You can put cinnamon in as well. It's fabulous. Alcohol. So
alcohol.
So my opinion, when you're in beginning stages of ketosis, like the first few months, when you drink, your liver's trying to do one thing and you're just giving it an extra thing to cope with. On the carb level, a small glass of wine is about 6 or 7 grams.
Okay.
You can have spirits; they've got no carbs. So you people having tonic is horrific. Tonic's like 45 grams of carbs for
the gin's fine.
Yeah, the gin's fine. I don't drink, but when I look on different forums that I'm interested in, very often if you're doing it for weight loss, very often weight stalls, one of the things people say is, do I have to give up my glass of red wine every night? And everyone says yes. Because if you're having a stall, then you eliminate what's not working for you. So when people are doing this for weight loss, and a lot of reversing disease is weight loss.
Yes.
So with diabetics, if they reverse their weight, this is why the low calorie stuff works to reverse diabetes, because they get kilos of weight loss, therefore the diabetes can go into remission. But the sustainability of that isn't, so then the weight comes back on, and obviously we can recreate diabetes.
And you're talking about type 2 diabetes.
Type 2 diabetes,
yeah. So just share with us about this challenge this guy's taken.
Yeah, it's this week, and it only finished I think 2 days ago. So 8 people, including I think James Cracknell, who's the Olympic rower, a guy called John Furness, who's a type 1 diabetic who has been keto for over a year, or is keto adapted for over a year, and a couple of people from the Public Health Collaboration, which is a brilliant British group of doctors and clinicians who are advocating getting low carb, real food, keto or not, depends where the person's at, but into GPs' practices, so to help reverse diabetes and pre-diabetes. They have all just done a 5-day 100-mile run fasted. So this obviously is quite outstanding a feat to do, given the rhetoric around you have to carb load for this, and if you don't eat your carbs you'll die, and all this kind of stuff, and that you can't do things fasted, and that
you
it's
can't
bad for
play
you,
sport without carbohydrates.
But this is just literally, I think they finished 2 days ago. I actually got to listen to one of the guys talking. John Furness talked about it last night, and he said, contrary to what he expected, all of them haven't had fatigue after they've run 25 miles a day or 20 miles a day for 5 days fasted on salt. Some had a few electrolytes, that was it, salt and water. And their recovery, all of them felt like they could easily go for a 15-mile run the next day, and the day after that. Recovery time is much improved if you exercise in a fasted state. It's superb. So they're going to be publishing their data soon. They took bloods and everything all the way through, ketone level, blood sugar level, everything.
Interesting.
It's very good.
Very interesting. And I sent you last night a link to a very interesting podcast I listened to, in which I'm trying to, yes, I've got it here. I'll probably share it in the notes here. It's on by a guy's podcast. He's called Tom Bilyeu. I'll put it in the comments anyway. And this man is talking about basically the same the same principles, and he talks about the connection between vitamin D3 and K2.
Yeah.
So that's a whole rabbit hole I'm looking forward
But this
to.
is very good for COVID-19 defense.
The D3 and the K2, yeah. Which is
The D3
certainly
sure.
is, yeah, and that's
the K2. I can't remember, but
the K2, and what he talks about is deuterium, and it's which is an isotope of hydrogen, and it's so we're getting to the subatomic level on how energy exchange happens with ATP and the mitochondria and all of that. My brain starts pickling, but I'm going to look into it more because I find it all quite interesting. But I will post that one because I think it's interesting. It's another really interesting perspective, and his take on it is, the relative recent use of agriculture for that's not sitting perhaps quite so well with our evolution, and the use of glyphosate. So the use of which it's basically an antibiotic, and how and anyway, I'll post I'm not going to try and transcribe it here. And
on a keto side, you get, when ketones are your fuel source, you get 20% more fuel. I think it's 20% anyway.
Yes.
More fuel per molecule.
That's right. I read that. 20%. Efficiency, more efficiency.
Which means if you have any kind of heart, cardiovascular disease, but you've got narrowing of arteries, you're getting 20% more fuel in the same space. And that's why my mum's angina is infinitely less when she's in ketosis. It's 20-year condition, 95% improved in ketosis. If she starts eating the odd bit of sourdough, she can't walk up the high street without stopping.
Fascinating.
And it's literally, you can watch the switch in her. Is she in ketosis? She can walk up carrying, shopping and overtaking people. If she's not in ketosis, she's stopped 3 or 4 times. She's got radiating pain down her left arm.
Wow.
It's very clear.
Very clear,
Very clear.
Yeah.
But also for the brain as well. The brain loves ketones for fuel. Absolutely loves it. So if anyone's worried about, if anyone has traumatic brain injury, anybody knows people who've had strokes, early stage dementia, late stage dementia, if you can get them into a state of ketosis, or add MCT oil or coconut oil to their food so that you're giving them an exogenous ketone, it can really improve things.
Cool.
Really, for the brain, it's formidable.
Great.
And if you're studying as well, being in ketosis, and if kids knew about this, their pre-study, their approach to exams, they would go ketogenic.
Yeah, man, totally agree. Yeah, I think that with breathwork sometimes, if people see all these little tips can get, just optimize everything.
Instead, they stuff sugar.
Oh God, I know.
And then get all kinds of eating disorders, and all kinds of stuff happens because the imbalance is like massive at the puberty time. A big old deal.
Interestingly, talking of that, my son is 14, and he is, I'll make the rice with the food because he wants the rice, but actually he doesn't really want the rice. He's tending towards, the pull of junk food is there, and so he'll have his biscuits. But when we sit for a meal, the rice is left.
Good.
It's great.
It's brilliant.
I know. So naturally, he is tending towards this diet, and that just makes total sense to me. So I will continue, and I'll be super wary of my emotional pulls and the carbohydrate creep. So I shall just the carb creep, and so I'm going to be very mindful of that.
I'm going to take over for 5 minutes.
Yes.
I just went to Italy with my mum, and we've been keto for 15 months, and we had our first total failure. It wasn't a total failure, but it was enough that we had gelato, we had pasta twice. This is in 10 days, so it really wasn't like massively dramatic. We don't drink. I think we had 1 glass of wine. That was half a glass of wine, I think, because it was given. It was horrible. But anyway, we had maybe bread 3 times. We didn't have pizza, so it was minimal. It was minimal, but it wasn't it wasn't right, and we hurt. Every bit of us hurt. And so we came back 6 days ago, and we've been fasting for 5 days, so we're totally back on track again. But it's really worth just paying attention. This is the main thing, is you just pay attention to where you're at when you do things.
Yeah, I did have a little chuckle when I knew you were going to Italy on a holiday.
I had no idea it was going to be as hard as it was.
Well, I grew up in the country, and it's a very carb, and they do them so well.
It's what I was saying was because we managed it. We were in India for a month and we were keto, and I've been in Thailand a lot. Keto, absolutely fine. You know, their culture. It's a rice based. My culture's not rice based. Theirs is their way, but Italy was very similar to my kind of comfort, and it was impossible not to. But by the end of it, we weren't really enamoured.
Yeah, you were ready to let it go.
That first week was just like, oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah,
everything's so pretty.
So well made.
And they're so beautiful. The Italians, my God, if you want to see a healthy, I mean, I know some, but when you compare it to here, the obesity that is, we are a changing species.
Yes.
We are a changing species, and when you spend time in a species which is clearly a lot less in balance, like not everybody, but you know, obese people stand out there.
Yes.
Here, slender people stand out.
Yeah,
it's
true.
very, very different.
It's true, and they have a predominance of good meats, local food, and lots of vegetables and lovely cheeses and all the things that I love. I don't think I could ever be a vegan, really. So, and this podcast I was telling you about, that I mean, I will post it, but he's a doctor called Dr. Joel Gould, and it's Why Science is Waking Up to the Powerful Benefits of Vitamin D. And he reckons the reason why people in Brazil and in India and Asia have been affected with the COVID quite so strongly is that very rice-based, carb-based diet, which is sort of driving that, you know, that health crisis sort of thing.
Well, America, I think, is the best example of a sick society.
Yeah, standard American diet, isn't it? Yeah.
88% of America is metabolically sick.
Wow.
If you look at the markers for metabolic health, like waist to height ratio, HDL to triglycerides, blood pressure. There's 2 others which I can't remember, but there are 5 things, and if you've got 3 or more not right, you're metabolically sick. America's 88% metabolically sick. That is shocking.
It is shocking,
and I'm sure that's why they've been so hit.
Yes, and the glyphosate thing, they have.
Whereas Japan, you know, it might be population density in Japan is going to be high, obviously, but much healthier population, much less obesity. Yeah. Anyway, this is reversing all that. You are literally creating good metabolic health within 1 day. Within 1 day, if you were a diabetic who injects insulin and you go into ketosis, you go into a low carb ketogenic way of eating, within 24 hours it's very likely you have to reduce your insulin by up to 50%. That's why if you're type 2 diabetic and you go into ketosis, you need to see a medical professional who knows how to deal with you, because your blood sugar will drop so radically. It's literally a medical intervention going into ketosis.
Yeah.
So it's very important. And people on, it also lowers blood pressure. So people who are on blood pressure medication, again, they have to de-prescribe when they're in ketosis because your blood pressure will naturally come down.
Yeah.
You need to see medical professionals who understand this to help you de-prescribe if you're on medication. Yeah,
so you need like a doctor who's friendly to this methodology, not somebody who thinks it's a terrible idea.
Public health collaboration in the UK will know UK doctors that you can approach. There's definitely some in Stroud, in Bristol. North Devon, there's a lovely lady who's a doctor who's low carb. There's lots of information, you just need to look for it. Yeah, and of course you can drop any comments here and we can respond to it. Just to drop in before we wrap it up, I have just started taking my heart rate variability, so I'm going to continue to do that in the next month because it did drop a bit, and that's an indicator of my nervous system perhaps readjusting. So that will be interesting to see how because it was higher before.
So before I started this, I was in the sort of 6, 7 range, and now I've dropped to sort of to the 5 range. That's not massive, it's dramatic
I
drop.
don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I'm just learning, which is why I didn't go full on into it, but I will keep measuring my heart rate variability, which basically measures the time interval and how quickly your heart recovers from breath to breath. It's like a minute change of recovery. If you are able to recover quickly, you have a higher heart rate variability, which means that your system is able to recover quickly from stress, training, pressures, whatever. So, what do you reckon? Should we wrap it?
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. This has been a very interesting. We might just come back in another month.
Let's do that. And by then there might be some exciting news about public health collaboration having an ambassador in Totnes.
Awesome. Oh, that's really good. Yeah. We can continue to be pioneering health leaders here in Totnes, which we kind of are, There's a lot of good things going on here. So, thanks Maia for dropping by. Really appreciate it. It's been really interesting. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.